There is a secret the Pentagon never admitted. America is not truly ready for full-scale air war. The clearest proof? A sudden plan to upgrade the F-22 Block 20s, old jets that should have been buried. According to the War Zone on September 22, 2025, Lockheed Martin and the U.S. Air Force are considering a risky option, injecting new technology into 35 Block 20s. For decades, these jets served only as trainers. Now Washington wants to turn them into active weapons of war. Why now? Because the world is changing fast. Russia has deployed Su-57 felons over Ukraine, even in limited numbers, as part of combat testing. China has expanded J-20 production past 300 units, as reported by Jane's Defense Weekly. Iran, despite sanctions and a fragile economy, continues exploring partnerships to import advanced fighter technology from Russia and China. America knows its active F-22 fleet is too small to face all threats at once. Let's rewind. The F-22 Raptor first flew in 1997, but its roots trace back to the 1980s when the US sought an advanced tactical fighter to defeat the Soviet Union's next-generation jets. It became the pinnacle of American air dominance, radical stealth shaping, thrust-vectoring Pratt & Whitney F-119 engines for unmatched maneuverability, Mach 2 supercruise without afterburners, and the AN-APG-77 AESS radar capable of tracking multiple enemies simultaneously. The jet also introduced advanced sensor fusion, combining radar, electronic warfare, and communication inputs into one picture for the pilot, a revolutionary step at the time. But production ended in 2012 with only 187 Raptors built, far fewer than the original goal of 750. The reasons were brutal: astronomical unit costs of over $150 million per aircraft, limited peer adversaries at the time, and a political decision to prioritize the cheaper and exportable F-35 Lightning II. Of the Raptors built, 35 are Block 20s, transitional versions never fully equipped for combat. They were designed with downgraded mission systems, older avionics, and no provisions for the latest weapons integration. The radar modes were limited, their software frozen in an earlier stage, and many self-refinements absent. For years, they were confined to training and task roles, their combat potential deliberately crippled. The Pentagon even tried multiple times to retire them, seeing them as dead weight. But Congress resisted, arguing that the US cannot afford to waste a third of its Raptor fleet. Now, under mounting geopolitical pressure, Lockheed Martin proposes a solution: turn the Block 20s into war-ready fighters. Planned upgrades include open mission architecture, enabling rapid integration of future capabilities. Infrared search and track systems, IRST, would allow passive detection of stealthy adversaries like the J-20 and Su-57. Stealth refinement, from radar-absorbing coatings to reshape surfaces, could reduce radar cross-section closer to Block 30 to 35 standards. And brand new electronic warfare suites could protect the jets against modern surface-to-air missile systems like Russia's S-400 and China's HQ-9. There is even talk of podded IRST systems mounted externally, and stealthy conformal fuel tanks to extend range without sacrificing survivability. In short, a Block 20 upgrade package could transform training jets into frontline killers. But every improvement comes with a price. According to the War Zone, a full upgrade could cost billions of dollars. Beyond the hardware, pilots would need retraining, maintenance crews would require new tactical schools, and logistics chains would need restructuring. Each airframe would also be pulled out of service for months or years while modifications are completed. Technical risks are undeniable. Integrating modern systems into a 20-year-old platform could create compatibility issues, increase radar cross-section, or overload the jet's aging architecture. The airframes themselves, though robust, have finite fatigue life. Every additional stress from new systems or extended operations could shorten their lifespans. Yet, if the Block 20s are not upgraded, the consequences could be even worse. America would effectively lose a third of its Raptors. In a world where China's J-20 fleet already outnumbers the entire US Raptor inventory, such a loss is not trivial. That would mean dangerous gaps in readiness, especially if simultaneous conflicts erupt in Europe and the Indo-Pacific. Consider the scenario. A Russian incursion escalates in the Baltics while China launches a blockade around Taiwan. The US would need Raptors in 2 theaters at once, but the numbers wouldn't be there. Block 20 upgrades could be the difference between sufficient coverage and catastrophic shortfalls. The global impact is unmistakable. NATO allies would feel reassured if America fields additional Raptors, even upgraded ones, as deterrents against Russia. In Asia, Japan, South Korea, and Australia would see it as a signal that Washington is serious about maintaining air dominance in the Pacific. Conversely, Beijing and Moscow will frame it as desperation, the United States reviving relics because it can't build enough new fighters fast enough. And there's also a psychological factor. For adversaries, the sight of more Raptors in the sky, regardless of block version, carries symbolic weight. For allies, it strengthens confidence that US air power remains credible despite the long wait for NGAD. Air dominance is not just about technology, it's about perception, and perception shapes deterrence. Diplomatically, the debate will ignite in Congress. Lawmakers already complain about the staggering sustainment cost of the Raptor fleet. Each F-22 costs tens of thousands of dollars per flight hour, more than the F-35. Adding expensive upgrades to Block 20s will spark fierce arguments over whether the money should be directed towards NGAD, the Next Generation Air Dominance Program. Some will argue that pouring resources into aging Raptors is a short-term fix at best, while others will insist that America cannot afford to wait for NGAD's uncertain future. And that is the central dilemma. The NGAD, sometimes referred to as the F-47, is supposed to replace the Raptor by the 2030s. But its timeline is uncertain. Its cost is projected to dwarf even the F-22, and Congress is divided on whether it can be funded at all. Until then, America must rely on the Raptors it already has. The final question remains, will the Block 20s truly rise again? The answer depends on politics, budgets, and above all, whether the Pentagon accepts the risks of reviving an old war machine. But one thing is certain, this decision is not just about outdated jets. It's a gamble on the future of American air dominance. Now it's your turn. Should America spend billions to save the Block 20s? Or should it let them die, focusing entirely on NGAD? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the sharpest military analysis.